All right, hello, my name is Brittany Vale, and I am one of the leaders from the Village Gathering. And I have the honor of talking to you today about the art of sharing Young Living. So I call it an art because I think there is something beautiful and grace-filled and just straight up excellent about sharing wellness, purpose, and abundance with our friends and family, those around us in our community. It's just really cool. It's really cool. Like, not just like for us, like as we grow a business, but also just to see the ripple effects, the ongoing goodness that like just goes out and touches families, touches lives, makes a difference. And it's just like mind blowing. So good. Praise. Yeah. So I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're interested in learning because that's what this is all about. This is a process of learning, and I wish I could tell you that there is just like oh, here you go, like this is the fail-proof plan or whatever, but this is definitely a learn as you go, learn from your mistakes, get up, keep going, change up the plan, you've got this kind of thing, okay? So yeah, one of the very first things that I heard from the beginning, and I just loved it, I now keep it in big letters on all of my business plans that I keep posted in my kitchen, and that is, don't be typical MLM. Facts tell, stories sell. So don't be typical MLM. So how many of us, when we hear MLM, like run for the hills? Yeah. Even me, like I don't personally like the idea of MLM, like when I think of it, like that stigma, that idea that we've got like ingrained in us, because I think at one point we've all like, I don't know, seen it poorly done, or we've been, or we felt used, like, oh, she only wanted to be my friend so that I would buy her product, you know what I mean, kind of thing. So we get to choose how we want to share Young Living, which is just awesome, empowering, like so cool. You get to decide, you know what I mean? You can be typical MLM and be that person, that family member, that weirdo, you know what I mean? That everyone's like, oh, here she comes. Or you can decide to be chill, to be awesome, to share Young Living in the same way that, I don't know, like for example, like you go out with your girlfriends and they're all like, where'd you get that dress? It's like awesome. And you're like, oh my gosh, you got it at on the clearance rack at Target. And then all your friends go to the clearance rack and buy the same dress, right? I mean, I think this has happened to all of us at one point, whether it's a dress or a cup of coffee or, oh my gosh, the best place to get ice cream. Like you have to go to this place. It's the best place. And then like all your friends go, you know what I mean? And it's just really cool. It's like just sharing, right? It's like this natural, just awesome way to share. So I think that if we keep it chill, if we keep it like genuine, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I tried this oil on my like sleepless 2-year-old and it's been awesome. Like everyone should try this, you know what I mean? Then it doesn't become so weird, you know what I mean? Like the weird that we see on social media sometimes where you're like, okay, scroll fast. This is awkward, kind of stuff. So just keep that in mind. Another thing would be, I don't know, like this business is all about relationships, like hands down. It all goes back to relationships, and skill, like you got to have both, which is why we're talking about the art of sharing today. But Dale Carnegie in his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, if you have not read it, I highly recommend it. It's probably my number one favorite. Dale Carnegie, he talks about, he shares a story about how he walks into a sales gig. He's supposed to be selling this like owner of the company oil of all things, but like gasoline, like industry oil. And he goes in and he's thinking, I gotta sell this guy. I got a lot to share with him, a lot of information. But he goes in and like everything just changes. He decides that he is just going to talk about the man's personal life. He's going to ask him about his family, like what's going on. What do you think about the industry? How's your business going? What's going on with you? What's going on with you? Getting him talking about his life. People love to talk about themselves. People love to feel like they're being valued, that they're being listened to. I mean, I feel like that's such a complaint. Like nobody listens to me. Nobody listens to me. My spouse doesn't listen to me. My mom doesn't listen to me. My friends, don't hear me. But like we show up and we're like, tell me, like, and we really want to be real with them and enter that relationship. And being a good friend means being a good listener. So he is a good listener in this situation. And for like an hour, 2 hours go by and he's got to go. And he's like, I didn't get to sell him this oil, you know, but he leaves and the guy puts his arm around him and he's like, send me an invoice at the end of the month. I'm totally buying my oil from you. And the guy was like, what? Like, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I just love that story because it's so easy. It's so easy. It's not like, oh yeah, like do these, like all these steps or whatever, you know, to get there. But it's like, it's about winning friends to have influence over them. You know what I mean? It's about, yeah, it's about having that relationship, that deep connection, that understanding with that person so that they trust you and they don't just see you as like a sleazy MLM person who's looking for the next buck to make. You know what I mean? Like, I value you, not your money. Okay? I value you, not your money. So with that, I would say, I know my grandpa, he is an awesome salesman. He has he owns and operates his, he's retired now, his own chemical company of all things, but super successful. And I have learned so much from him. And he told me, he's like, Brittany, he's like, you know, it takes 5 points of contact to sell somebody. He's like, 5 points of contact. So he's like, for you, and I'm like, I totally live by this and believe this because I'm seeing it happen. He's like, so for you, you know, you got to get samples in people's hands. And keep that attitude of like, I know this is going to be awesome. I know this is going to work for you. I love it. It works for me. You know what I mean? Kind of stuff that like, yeah, I love it. You're going to love it. It could mean getting somebody into a class. It could mean just sitting down, going out for coffee with them, having a point of contact. It could be, hey, you know, some of my oily friends are getting together and we're doing a make intake. We're going to make some lip balm and foot scrub and come have a girls' night with us, you know, kind of stuff. And then, you know, being able to be like, hey, like, do you want to be part of this? You know, would you be interested in doing this with me? Yeah. You know what I'm saying though? Like, think about your own journey and how you got here and like what it took. And I think most of us would say that like it took the samples, it took learning, you know, understanding, because this isn't a quick sale. This isn't like, oh yeah, like buy this lipstick or buy this Tupperware or whatever. Like, this is a lifestyle. We're talking about a lifestyle change, like a really cool lifestyle change. So, so yeah, so just remember that, you don't have to be typical MLM. Relationships. Who is winning at relationships is who is winning at the business. So relationships, and then 5 points of contact. Like, do not get discouraged. Like, just remember that it takes like getting somebody involved, inviting them in, getting them the samples, telling them, I know you're gonna love it. Like, it's amazing, you know, kind of stuff. So so yeah, and then with that, you guys can totally, like, you guys can decide, you know what I mean? Do you want to share on social media? If you're going to be sharing on social media, I encourage consistency, whether Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, blogging, whatever it is. Be consistent, not just with sharing Young Living, but about sharing your life. Like, you are the brand. You know, people associate, oh, Brittany with Young Living, you know, Susie with Young Living, John is with Young Living. You know what I mean? And people are drawn to, people who are drawn to you are going to be like, of course, like, I want to do whatever she's doing. So sharing about what's going on with your marriage, you know what I mean? Date nights you're going on, vacations you're taking, sharing about, you know, your kids are going back to school and inviting people in, setting them up, asking them questions, you know, whose kids are going back to school this week? How's everyone feeling? Or, hey, I don't know what I'm making for dinner. What's everyone else making for dinner tonight? Asking people questions, inviting them in, doing the relationship thing. You know what I mean? And then when your time comes, following the 90-10 rule, I don't encourage sharing Young Living like every day or every few hours on social media. But if you've posted, you know, let's say 8 to 9 times about your normal life, then plug in Young Living. And not the like, everyone enroll today and get $20 back and you will win a limo or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, not that, but just like, this is what we're doing, and this is how it's working for us. Stories, facts tell, stories sell. Stories sell, stories sell. So yeah, it's super important. Be working on your story. Be working on what you you want to share with people. It's so important. So so yeah, sharing on social media is awesome. You can send out samples, you know, getting those in the mail. You can do classes. We have tons of resources in our village Google Drive. So if you're interested in that, we'll point you in the right direction. So resources for classes, anything you want to teach, hormones and oils, chemical-free home, the basics. It's awesome. And then you can translate those scripts. You can invite your friends in, you know, personally invite your friends in. Don't just dump your whole Facebook list in. That's not cool. That's typical MLM. So I don't want to see that. But yeah, personally invite them. I'm doing this. This is awesome. Please be there. There's going to be a giveaway for lavender, whatever, you know, whatever you're going to be doing or whatever. Create excitement. Create excitement. So yeah, and then you can take those classes too. Like if you're doing it online, it's awesome. I highly recommend doing live events to build community. You know, doing a make and take. Everyone come over. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna make lip balm and foot scrub and drink wine and hang out, and it's gonna be awesome. You know what I mean? And you're gonna get to experience and take home samples and stuff. So it goes a long way. And yeah. So sharing social media, sharing one-on-one. You know, it can just be, you know, if you're going to do in a class or you know, a live class, or you're going to go out to coffee with somebody, that's awesome too. And then, or if you're going to do the whole class thing, like those are all 3 awesome ways. Okay. I'm going to re-summarize that for you, because that was a little weird. Social media, one-on-one, and classes. Okay. So however, I can barely hold up 3 fingers. That's weird. Okay. So, those are 3 awesome ways that you can be sharing. And just remember, what I said from the beginning, don't be typical MLM. Facts tell, stories sell, and you are your brand. So you want to create that excitement. You want to create the relationship. You want to create the awesome that is Young Living, and that is ultimately, I don't know, just so cool when it comes to sharing Young Living. And I know that it will seriously bless your business and bless those around you. All right, go get them.